Everyone's been talking about the new exotic shotgun, Slayer's Fang, but the only builds that I'm seeing are Gear Falcon's Hunter or No Backup Plans Titans. What about my Warlocks? So that's what I decided to do today. This build is as strong, no, even stronger than those pesky Titan and Hunter builds. Let's get into it. First things first, we need to talk about the new shotgun. Slayer's Fang is a Void exotic shotgun that uses special ammo. Each bullet is a crystal that works like a slug, dealing one powerful hit, but on impact, the crystal will shatter into 7 smaller crystals that will still deal damage to that initial target, but then also bounce to nearby targets behind the enemy. This weapon becomes even stronger with its intrinsic trait, Nightsworn Sight. When getting a kill or picking up a Void Breach, you're granted Truesight to see enemies through walls, but more importantly, you gain increased reload speed, 15% more precision damage, and the small crystals will also weaken enemies. But the biggest decision you have is with the catalyst. If you want this weapon as a DPS weapon, then you can go for Cascade Point to quickly dump your ammo. But if you want it for subclass synergies, then Repulsor Brace is the better option, offering you a Void Overshield when scoring a kill on a Void Debuffed Target. Remember, once Nightsworn Sight is active, every bullet will weaken enemies, making this incredibly easy to proc. For this build, since I knew that I wanted Slayer's Fang to be the main point, I decided to go with a class exotic that has Spirit of Harmony. That way we can bring Nova Bomb as our super, and now all Void weapon kills will give back extra super energy to give us more incentive to use that shotgun. You could swap this out for the exotic chest piece, Mantle Battle Harmony, if you don't have that class exotic. But the other perk that I usually take on my class exotic would ideally be Spirit of Inmost Light or Apotheosis. 2025, it's time to get a fresh start. New year, new PC. Whether you need to upgrade your current PC or you're transitioning from a console, there's no time like the present. That's why I've partnered with Apex Gaming PCs to bring you some top-notch gaming PCs. My PC lineup has AMD CPUs for multitasking to boost your productivity, letting you complete all your new year goals and will have you feeling like a brand new person. You can use code LUCKY to save 10% at checkout. With that being said, let's jump right back into the video. So let's dive in and break down how it works. Of course, for the super, we're going with Nova Bomb, which not only does decent boss damage, but also synergizes with our exotic. For the class ability, I'm taking Phoenix Dive, giving you a quick burst of health, though you could alternatively run Healing Rift if you like that better. My favorite melee is the Arcane Needle. Not only do you get 3 charges, but it offers an easy way to proc Unravel, which can add in more damage and give you some more synergies with your build. As for the grenade, I'm bringing the Storm Grenade. It does good damage, but it also pairs nicely with one of our later fragments. And when it comes to the aspects, the main one you want to bring is Feed the Void. This makes it so that any ability kill will proc an enhanced version of Devour that will fully heal you and give back 10 to 40% grenade energy on kills. This also has a ton of synergies with our artifact perks, which we'll touch on later. The second aspect that I like to take is Bleak Watcher. Now you can hold down your grenade button, and when released, you'll create a stasis turret, which will constantly shoot projectiles at enemies, slowing and eventually freezing them. Helion is a great alternative to this aspect, though I'm taking Bleak Watcher for the synergies with this season's artifact, but you can run whichever of those two that you'd like better. As for the fragments, first and foremost, you want to bring Facet of Ruin. This synergizes perfectly with Bleak Watcher, allowing your shatter to deal more damage over a larger radius. Then I'm taking Facet of Bravery, and I'm mainly taking this so that our grenade kills will give us volatile rounds. And this is twofold. We can chuck a normal storm grenade and instantly proc volatile rounds, or we can create those turrets, which will every now and then get kills proccing volatile rounds constantly. And then I like to bring Facet of Purpose. That way, whenever we pick up an Orb of Power, we gain a buff depending on our super. And with Nova Bomb, we get a Void Overshield, which is now incredibly strong, offering you that 70% damage resistance while active. As previously mentioned, we're taking the Storm Grenade, and that's because it pairs perfectly with our next fragment, Facet of Dominance. Now Arc Grenades will jolt targets. This gives your normal grenades a way to stun overload champs and deal more overall damage. And since we're on Warlock, our Prismatic Grenade also counts as a Void Grenade, meaning they'll also weaken enemies, having them take another 15% more damage. And finally, I take Facet of Courage. Now our light-based abilities, aka our grenade and our super, will deal 10% more damage to enemies affected by a darkness debuff, which can easily be procced from our melee and our turrets. And a pro tip, I heard that you can deal 2000% more damage just by liking the video. Okay, let's get back to it. So what does this look like in action? Well, I like to start by proccing Devour. You can do this by getting a grenade kill, or throwing your turret and letting your turret get a kill. But I found the most effective way is to weaken an enemy, and then use a powered melee. Once Devour is active, we want to make sure to keep throwing regular grenades and turrets, and depending on how fast you kill, this usually means swapping between them. But I like to make sure I have at least one turret active at all times. You can use your primary weapon and grenades to clean up all the weak enemies. Then when you have a tougher target, whip out that shotgun and blow your load.
What did he say?
I like to save my Nova Bomb for mini bosses and bosses. So when going into a DPS phase, I first throw a turret for extra damage and to proc Fast of Courage. Then I can turn around and chuck that Nova Bomb. Score a few precision shots with your primary weapon to activate Cascade Point. Then swap to the shotgun, firing a full magazine. Finally, swap to your heavy grenade launcher and go to town. So let's talk about ways to improve the build. For stats, I like to shoot for 100 in resilience and discipline, with any leftover stats going into strength and recovery. And when it comes to armor mods, for the helmet, the first mod I like to bring is a special ammo finder. Our shotgun gives us back more super energy, so having extra ammo means that we can use it more frequently. Then I like to bring a siphon mod that matches our primary weapon. For me, that means a stasis siphon. That way we can rapidly kill with our primary weapon to create orbs. And then I bring ashes to assets. Devour will feed back a ton of grenade energy, so all those grenades we're throwing will now feed back even more super energy on kills. And as for the gauntlets, first I bring firepower, so that we can create orbs by getting grenade kills every 10 seconds. Then I bring momentum transfer. That way we can consistently generate more melee energy by dealing damage with our grenades, which is why I also bring bolstering detonation, so the grenade damage also generates class ability energy. And keep in mind, these have a 7-second cooldown, but your turrets will constantly be activating them because they're dealing damage. For the chest mods, I like to bring 3 resistance mods. That way I can take the least amount of damage possible. You mainly want to match these to the activity you're in, though a safe option is to bring an arc, solar, and void resistance, since these are the most common damage types. As for the leg mods, I like to bring 2 void weapon surges to boost our void weapons by an additional 17% damage. Then I bring a stasis weapon surge to boost my primary weapon damage by 10%. If you plan on bringing a stasis heavy weapon, then I'd swap out one of the void surges for a stasis surge to boost your primary and heavy weapon. As for the class mods, I first bring time dilation. That way we can have more uptime with our weapon surge. And then I bring powerful attraction to pick up any nearby orbs whenever we use our class ability. Finally, I bring outreach so that whenever we do use that class ability, we also gain a bit of melee energy. In Act 3, we have a few new artifact mods that can really help out this build. Frenzied Hunger allows you to get rapid kills while Devour is active to gain increased handling and reload speed. And Void Renewal makes it so that while Devour is active, you'll start to work up a counter by getting void weapon kills. And once full, it creates a void breach. And then you can pair that with Old God's Right, so that when you pick up a void breach, the next time you deal void weapon damage, it creates a portal that rains down void orbs, dealing damage on nearby enemies. You can then bring Hail the Storm and boost it with a tonic. So now all that shatter damage you deal from your turrets will deal even more damage. I also like to bring curative orbs so that the first time we break a shield, we create another orb. And if you are bringing a heavy grenade launcher, then I also like to bring concussive reload and kinetic impacts so that grenade launchers weaken bosses and champions and they'll deal more overall damage. And if you have room for it, you can bring wind chill to gain frost armor by scoring multiple precision hits with a stasis weapon. When it comes to the weapons, I love to bring a stasis weapon to synergize with this season's artifact. Something like Exuvi is a good option and can roll with perks like Rhyme Stealer and Headstone for even more damage and protection. For the energy slot, we're of course bringing Slayer's Fang. While having the catalyst as Repulsor Brace can still work for this build, I'd rather have the Cascade Point catalyst for more DPS. And in that heavy slot, you realistically have 2 options. Edge Transit will deal a ton of damage and even takes advantage of those volatile rounds, though you could alternatively run Chill Inhibitor, swapping that weapon surge and getting more damage out of your heavy and primary weapons. Both are good options, and if you don't have either of those, then taking your best void heavy weapon is going to be your best option. Well, there you have it, Guardians. I just covered a build that lets you dump your shotgun into those bosses, all while keeping you alive in normal play. But if you want to see a hunter build that can also pair nicely with this new shotgun, then go check out this video here. But remember, mastering this build is only the beginning. Experiment with different combinations and tweak your loadout to suit your playstyle. If you found this video helpful or just enjoyed seeing a new perspective, feel free to like the video and comment down below on what you might change or how you'd improve the Slayer's Fang Warlock build. Keep an eye out for future videos as we continue to explore the ever-evolving world of Destiny 2. Until then, may the threads of fate be ever in your favor. This is Lucky Mech, signing off. See you on the next adventure, Guardians.